Hey guys, Brenden, by the way, the audio guy. Today I'm going to be talking about the lag that you may be experiencing in Studio One. Now, this is caused when a bunch of instruments are stacked up or you have a sample size set really high. So let's check out where that sample size is. So if you head over to Studio One, Preferences, and you go to Audio Setup, right here, this is what we're going to be looking at, is the device block size. So the lower you put your samples, if you look right here, all of a sudden your latency goes down compared to how high you are. So we just went from 2.8 to 87.5. Now, why not just always leave it on a low sample rate? Well, sample rate is basically the speed that your DAW needs to process the audio. So the faster it needs to process, the more power it's going to require. And therefore, if you have a lot of plugins and instruments, then it could cause hangups. So why not just always put it on a high sample size? Well, if you are trying to record a vocalist or a guitar or play piano or whatever it may be, and there's a delay when you're talking or playing or singing, then that is what that is. It's because when you increase these samples, then your latency gets increased. And that is the time it takes from your mouth to go into the microphone, into the computer, process, and then back out into your headphones. So the lower the number of samples that your computer is working with, like 32, the faster it can crank that audio out. But the smaller it has of a buffer, like to process all of your plugins. So if you are mixing, then you can have it at a higher sample rate because you may be running a lot of plugins. And it doesn't necessarily matter what your latency is. But if you're tracking live, then it's really hard to sing or play on time or even in pitch if you are delayed. So a way to prevent that is lower it down. But if as you lower it down, you start noticing crackling, it doesn't play, it gets hung up, all these things, or it just seems to be glitching out and bugging out, then that's a sign that it's too low. So you would need to raise it up. Now, a lot of interfaces has a low latency or direct monitor or input monitoring, or it may be called something else depending on your interface, button on either front, side, or back. And that is on the physical hardware. So basically what that's going to do is that's going to say, I'm going to take the audio from my mic that's going into my audio interface, and instead of route it through the computer and back out, I'm going to route it directly out. So it is virtually 0 milliseconds of latency because you are going from your mic into your interface, which is capturing your audio, and then if you have your headphones plugged into there, then you will hear it back immediately. So if you have a vocalist in your studio or yourself, then look for that button if you're still having issues trying to figure out how to get it to sound the best with Studio One and you're still experiencing that latency going on. Another way to do that, if you can't find the physical button on your interface, is you can look for it on your software. So for Apogee, you can open your Apogee Maestro software and you can route this to be your mixer. So then that way it goes directly out the mixer and it does virtually the same thing. It goes from your mic into the interface and then right back out. So your interface may or may not have this specific software, but look for something of the sort, whether that's, again, a physical button on the interface or some sort of software that gives you an input monitoring, direct monitoring, whatever it may be called. So experiment what works best for you. I've found that for me, when I track live, I like to start out between 128 and 256 when vocalists come in. And then when I mix, I do around 1024 samples. And of course, if it's too hard for the vocalist or myself with the latency that I'm experiencing with 128 or 256, then I just like to do a direct monitor with my software. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel and sign up for the email list where I will send you exclusive things that I only send to the people on that list. And also head over to the website, itsthatAudioguide.com, and I will see you guys soon.